Hey everybody, we're back. This is your host Robert Hebert. We have a special guest today, Mr. Joseph Dunn. Welcome.
Thank you so much for being on the show today.
I like it. Right on. Now that's my generation, people. I love that. So welcome back. We're continuing the discussion about schools, community, family, and we added a new guest so we can get some more juiciness into the conversation. We have, I feel so sorry for Shielin because now she's the young person amongst the mature crowd here. So hang in there, young lady. You're going to do a great job. So let's continue on with what we were discussing before. You were really getting into something interesting for me. You were telling me about the control of the classroom. You were getting involved with and telling me that they're really teaching to the test today and not really teaching the subject matter that we grew up with. So can you continue on with that? What are the important subjects that what they deem as important today?
What they deem as important today is every year the school board picks a certain amount of subjects that they will have in their tests that they'll let teachers know they have to learn this. It will be on the test, and it's usually tests aren't that long, so we're in a class all year learning about a specific thing. So the teacher has to just teach us that, and then that's pretty much it. No important stuff.
So you're saying a bunch of things that really resonate with me. You spend all year learning about one thing.
One thing.
Well, now, Mr. Dunn.
Yes, ma'am.
May I call you Joseph?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
All right, Joe.
Joseph. Joe? Joe. I love that. Just call me. I was going Robert on the air, but let's just throw that out and call it Bob. I love it because this is interesting to me because when we were growing up, we have unique perspectives from demographics in terms of geography. Excuse me. You grew up in
Jamaica.
Exactly, and I grew up in northern Maine. Very unique perspectives in terms of geography and demographics of how we were taught, what we were taught, the importance. Now, in Jamaica, when you were growing up, I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to, just for our audience, were you only studying one thing for the test all year long?
Well, in what we call the primary school, just comparable to the elementary school here, we did general subjects, and the maths, the English, the sciences, the social studies, etc., etc. As we move into the secondary level, which is the high school level, it starts to get a little bit different. Actually, the pre-secondary, in Jamaica we had the primary, then we had a pre-secondary, like a industrial phase. I did 2 or 3 years of that. Then I moved on to advanced subjects. But during that middle stage there, which is I guess the middle school education, we were exposed or introduced to trades like carpentry, making devices,
Practical applications.
toys. For instance, toys. We made wood toys. I have a toy that I made when I was 12 years old, and I still have it at home today. And so on. We did that. That's in the woodwork shop, and we made learned to make dovetail joints, for instance, a 12-year-old, and stuff. And a lot of those skills today, as a homeowner, I use them to make shelves in my house. And I didn't learn those skills anywhere else. Right. I know how to make shelves. I can make a sturdy shelf. Just show me the space. I know how to measure it, and so on. And then we had that woodwork class, as it was called then. And then we had a metalwork class, which we worked with sheet metal and soldering and that sort of thing.
You did the same thing,
right?
In Maine.
So, and we made tools. We made tools like garden shovels and stuff like that. We actually made things, and we were graded on the quality of what we produced. And most of those I have today.
And when you were in a classroom, though, you were stating that you were learning reading, writing, arithmetic,
yes,
social sciences, multiple social studies.
Absolutely.
Do you still have that today?
We have the core classes, but the job classes that you could take or life lesson classes are being erased.
What about trade skills?
We had woodwork when I went to school, and then it was removed.
They removed woodworkers.
Woodwork.
That's almost sacrilegious.
Shop class. They removed it.
Yeah.
And
economics. Home economics is another one.
What about home economics? You still have that? We had it.
No, you can go to a special school for it.
You need to go to a special school for home economics?
We had students switch to a special school to learn how to cook.
Really?
to learn how to sew.
We call that special school life.
That should be mainstream.
They're
Everyone should
used-
learn how to do that.
That's practical application. People
Absolutely.
need that every single day. And that's wonderful stuff because it compares, because we had a very similar education stuff because we had trade
Right.
schools, we did the same thing. They put a lot of emphasis and value on stuff that's practical outside of high school. So that you could, the whole point to school and education is to teach you about life and give you practical knowledge. And it seems as though we've erased all of that. We've de-evolved in terms of our educational aspect. To kids today, how are they more prepared for business today if they're getting an association trophy for everything? Oh, you participated. Oh, Caitlin, you participated. Oh, we're so proud of you. For what? What did you do?
I volunteered for 4 years.
Put you on the spot. What'd you do?
Volunteered for 4 years of high school, and because I chose the club, in fact, I was able to learn actual skills because of the teacher who decided to teach it on her free time
Mm-hmm.
for us, just a club.
Yeah.
And we have these people who will come into the schools to tell us about jobs, and what they'll say, you need to pick your career now. You need to find out what you want to be the rest of your life. And
At what age?
they have this since elementary. Since elementary, they've been telling us we need to pick what we're going to do, but they, since then,
Mhm.
have cut down all the classes that you can take
So
to
that-
decide what you want to be.
Isn't that something? I'm not even going to comment on. I'm going to send this right to Joe because I know that he's going to be. He's like me on this. From I'm an economist by trade. So let me just touch on this a little bit, saying, is it more? And I'm going to ask this for Joe for real
Mhm.
quick. Joe, in your professional opinion, is it more economically feasible to teach our children so that as soon as they graduate, they're able to be functioning members of our society, income earners, know how to balance checkbooks, know how to functionally do things immediately, or as soon as they graduate high school, they have to go to additional education to learn how to functionally read or write? Why are you in high school?
Well,
I don't understand these trade skills that we learned were valuable. Like you said, you're using them today.
Right.
So, in your opinion, is it more economically feasible to try to get back to basics the way we had our education, or is it to continue on the way we're going?
I think it's more economical and more practical and more functional for our students to leave school and ready for society on different levels. I taught at an alternative school for 2 years, two different schools. What I learned during that period was when I talked to the kids, and a lot of these kids were getting into trouble, they're getting arrested, for all different type of crimes, and the feedback is that, you know what, why are you teaching me biology when I'm not interested in it? I like art. All I want to do today is art. Why are you teaching me biology? Now, if the teachers or the system was listening to the students and try to extract their talents and focus on these talents, we'd have a much better society. Because what happened here, we're teaching kids, who are musicians. We're teaching them science and chemistry. They have no interest. They'll never leave school and go pursue chemistry. Yes, the basics are essential. Yes, and we should always do those in the what they call elementary school level, and somewhat throughout the high school, etc. But at the same time, I think a teacher's job is to identify the talents in each student, and then you harness that talent. I taught technology when I was teaching in Palm Beach County, here in Florida. And I wasn't a trained teacher per se. I came from industry, and I start to figure out how to reach these troublemaking students, so to speak. And what I did learn, I had to get to know the individuals and know their lifestyle, their community, where they came from, their house, etc., etc. And then I backtrack and I said, okay, fine. The best way to figure these guys out is to figure their talent. So I taught TV and film production then. And what I did was I rotate them through different positions:
I remember we talked about that.
writing,
Mm-hmm.
directing,
Mm-hmm.
camera, editing, etc. And they worked in groups of 5. And I would give each one of them those different roles and different classes and stuff like that. What I did learn that whenever I made one of those students become a producer, the attitude of learning changed. That was a responsibility where they're in charge of the group. because they have to say, okay, fine, this is what I want. Now they were in charge. Whole different attitude and behavior. So all these quote unquote bad kids became really serious. And now you find out if they're good writers, you find their management skills, and this is something that I think was very important to me, and it really had a positive effect on these students. So I think one of the things is I'm not sure which stage. Rather than say, okay, fine, these are the subjects you're gonna do, and pick one and stuff, and you gotta get a career out of this. Why don't we see, in the early stages, just like even in kindergarten, where you see different kids play with blocks and all different things, and you see where their talents are, you try to harness them. I think that's the focus that's gotta be on their report cards, and then the next level of teachers will pick up on that, and then we expand upon that. We'll have much better society, because what happened here right now. We have students leaving school, they're getting F's and stuff, and they really don't care. Why am I doing that class? I don't care about it. So I'm not going to work hard. So they get F's and they get thrown into the street and say they're no good. And they still have no skills. So what do we have? A dysfunctional society. We have little robbers and thieves and all these different things. They're choosing their path at the same time. And when we touch on gangs and that whole thing, we won't elaborate on that right now. But this is where now you find kids leaving school. They don't have the support, they don't have the skills, so they have to get this kind of support in the streets, where our society basically say, okay, go, have a good life.
That's a very, very, I mean, that's something that we should integrate. I mean, that's so practical. It makes so much more sense, because from what you were telling me, it would be so much more economical if we took today's children, if we took the kids in high school, instead of sending them to even rotate positions within trade school jobs to see which they have a better affinity for.
Absolutely.
I think that's perfect what you were saying.
Yes.
I mean, I think. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
I would have loved to go to a school.
That encouraged
That encouraged
whatever you
that.
want to be and whatever you're good at, right?
Thanks to the creativity of some teachers, I passed all my classes.
Mm-hmm.
However, I did get thrown into chemistry. I'm no scientist.
Mm-hmm.
I might like fire, but I am no scientist by any means. So being thrown into classes like that, what's that going to do for me? I can tell
It's
you
inefficient, right? Is
It's
that what you're
very
saying?
inefficient. I
Yeah.
have not used any of it since the class I took.
I hear that a lot about
Before I
trigonometry
graduated.
and things like, and people with
I
math.
took algebra 2.
Mm-hmm.
You only need that if you want to go into banking. I passed.
And how many people want to go into banking? I never knew somebody said, I want to be a professional banker. That's not something, but I love what Mr. Dunn was saying, what Joe was saying, because it makes so much more sense for you, And I think that if we had a society, I always keep talking about going back to basics. I always keep talking about, because we're never going to put the genie back in the bottle, so to speak. The way we grew up, it's never going to be the exact same way. We have the technology today, we have social media today, but we have to find a way to integrate that into what you grew up with. We have to find a way, a common ground to integrate these systems and bring it back to basics so that we can have a chance to be more competitive in the world. We can't, other countries, celebrate engineers and chemists and doctors and lawyers and Indian chiefs, but we're a country that's worshiping, live TV and reality TV and all this stuff. We're not promoting engineers and chemists and neuroscience and all the jobs that are going to make a difference in society to make us stronger and better and move us into the next the next millennia. We're celebrating things that, who cares if your season gets cut off in the next month or two. What are your thoughts?
Truth be told, unless you pick a favorite, like a specific course, like a program,
Mm-hmm.
to be an artist, to have home ec, or to be where you want to be, you like reading, you like writing, you're taking college classes in high school, for those kind of programs, you're not getting anything out of high school or any school really.
So it's completely inefficient at that point.
We have magnet programs for it. That's all you get.
Interesting. Joe, what do you think?
Well, I think integration is important right now, but I'm not sure that the current system allows for that. Teachers are so binded to a particular format that getting out of that format, according to principles, you'll delay completing the curriculum within a specified time. So they're just drilling what's on that paper and say, okay, fine. It's like a factory, like a production line. So you have stuff falling off the conveyor belt, and I can't touch that now. I gotta go. I gotta and stuff. And you have all these kids that are falling off the belt. They've lost focus. They've lost all, and there's no one catching them. And so on, and that should not be, because what happened is these kids now, okay, fine, they're smart kids. They're smart kids. If you talk to any one of them, they all have different talents, and they're very smart kids. But at the same time, their grades doesn't reflect that. Well, why are you getting all F and D's and so on? Well, I don't care anymore. I mean, no one's helping me. I've heard the language. No one cares. No one cares. So what? I'm just going to do my thing. And this is what happened when we push the kids out there. Oh, well, they can't do it. And I've spoken to the principals about it. One principal. I said, why are we not spending more time, with these kids? And she's like, oh, numbers. We have numbers, the county and the state, and it's all about numbers. I said, but at the same time, we're leaving so many of these kids behind. They need help. They need focus. They need someone to help them, and they're not getting it. And well, we have to follow the numbers. It's all about the numbers and stuff. Otherwise, we don't get our funding and all this kind of stuff. And I think this is so not good, because then you have these kids getting kicked out for simple stuff that they should have been managed with and stuff like that, and then ending up being robbers, gang banging on the street.
Isn't that something? So, if we're wrapping it up for us, it seems you're absolutely correct. It seems as though that we have a system that's supposedly no child left behind, but we are the conveyor belt analogy. To me, is one of the most beautiful, examples of this, because kids are falling off through the system that's created, but yet we're supposedly in a system of nobody left behind, but everybody seems to be losing out on this way. Final thoughts?
They will let it all fall onto the guidance counselor once you get left behind.
Thank you. Final thoughts?
Well, I think it's up to us as citizens to reach out to our local politicians and drive this, this message home, and see if we can get changes in the state and the national levels.
Amen. Thank you so much, Mr. Dunn, for being here. Joe,
You're
thank you
welcome.
so much, Shielin, for being here. I'm your host, Robert Hebert. This is NWI Educate. Thank you so much, guys. Hey, and don't forget to give us your comments at admin@nwieducate.com. Have a great day.